Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the NFL Alumni Lounge, powered by Elevate Health. Today is a very special day. We have a very special stud, one of the greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, the icon, Mr. Dick Butkus, is in the lounge. Dick, how are you?
I'm doing good.
I guess we're in your lounge.
Yeah. Yep, you're in my lounge.
So this is
Actually, kitchen here.
the Malibu edition of the NFL Alumni Lounge.
That's it.
So, Dick, let's take it back to the beginning. Chicago guy, through and through. What was it like growing up there?
Well, I was from the South Side and youngest of 9 kids. And there was a park right at the end of our block. And that used to be, where we always hang out. And I always used to watch my brothers playing, whatever the season was. Baseball season, football season, hockey, ice skates. I remember them used to lace me up, and I'd walk with my skates to the park. And by the time I got there, they were, my ankles were scraping against the ground. And,
How were you on skates? Were you good on skates?
Yeah, I wasn't too bad, actually. And we, I used to think I was so smart. I'd sneak over to the park and turn the water on to get it frozen, but it wasn't, it wasn't cold enough. It's just, I don't know what the heck I was thinking about.
Huddle
anyway,
skating.
Yeah, right. But no, we just did all the sports, and then there was an auditorium not too far, just a 20-yard pool. And it was like Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays were for men. Monday, Wednesday, Friday were for girls. And they had they had a swim team, So I always volunteered or tried it out ever since I was 8. Swam competitively, because we would get an extra swim. After the regular people would all leave, then we'd have practice. And the interesting thing about that is, which I found out later, there was always these older kids or guys playing water polo, and we would, they'd have all our junior guards, like all us little kids, play against them. 20 of us against whatever 6 or 7 of them. And I remember getting kicked underneath the water and everything. And turns out that the Coister brothers were the Olympic coaches for the U.S. Olympic water polo team.
Are you kidding me?
And we used to swim with them people.
So you were getting coached by the greats before you even knew it. When you were a
before
cub,
I knew it.
A cub at this point.
I never knew about it, but man, you'd have to hold onto the gutter on the edge of the pool. They had like a gutter.
Right.
And then your hand, and then you'd have to kick, what seemed to be like for hours. And, you'd watch one of the Coister brothers go by, and then you'd stop and rest a little bit. But man, it was brutal workout. So the first thing I ever did was I was a swimmer.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
There's a fact, ladies and gentlemen, you did not know. Now, was the competitive gene in you? Because competition and competitive nature is, it's a word that goes synonymous with Dick Butkus. Were you always competitive? Did that come from being the youngest of such a big crew?
Yeah, probably, because it was, I'd always want to go with them or try to play when they're in the park and all that, and they would just, give me the look, and that was, get out of here.
Take a hike.
And I wasn't, my best buddy, still today, we're close friends. He was a good swimmer, so I was always second best to him. And I think it helped never to be satisfied, never get complacent, and that carried over all the way up until the playing with the Bears. I always thought that it would be impossible to play 100% error-free game, and that was my incentive after watching game films where you could improve on. I mean, I don't care how good I played, and I don't care how anybody plays great. Somewhere along the line, they could have done a play better. Okay. And that should be rather than what they do today is do cartwheels when they do a normal thing on the field, when they should be looking at the game films and correcting what they didn't do. Because I don't see anybody doing cartwheels after missing a block or dropping a touchdown pass. I don't see them doing a cartwheel or running 90 yards to the other end zone. I don't know. What is that all about? I mean, you talk about taunting. What is that? And then someone says, well, they got to have fun. Shit, give me a break. Fun.
You know what I was thinking all morning? I was saying, I wonder what Dick Butkus thinks about the jersey swap. You got to hate that. End of the game.
Yeah, sweaty shirt. Yeah, give me a sweaty shirt. You know what I liked about Bud Grant?
What's that?
What he told all the Vikes? After the game, you immediately run off the field. I don't want you shaking hands and, exchanging Christmas addresses and cards and shit like that. And I kind of believed in that, too. I mean, it's all right to have friends on other teams, but to me, I just look at it like, this guy's trying to keep me from doing what I love to do. Right. Why in the hell would I give him a pat on the back?
Right.
At least during the season.
That's your enemy.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, it's different now, I guess. So, to me, it doesn't make it all right. I mean, if they stop and think, that this guy could, with one hard hit, blow a knee or whatever, and my career is done.
Right.
I'm shaking hands with this guy.
Right, right. No. Like, is that essence of pro sports gone? The loyalty, to the city, the loyalty and the family aspect of a team. You don't see guys hang out as much with the teammates. You don't see that as much.
No, it's a me world now.
Right.
I don't know how else you can express it. It's all about me. And, I think that happened when, they adopted the free agency. Very seldom you stay with one team through your whole career. So, and I guess it's okay because you only got 3 or 4 years on average to make hay while the sun shines. So, I guess you go for the buck and talk about team loyalty second. I guess I don't know.
Now, when a guy who was in the same city his whole life, it's amazing hearing you talk about that. Your father, he was an immigrant to the country?
Oh, yeah.
So where did you learn from him and his journey here?
Oh, just the idea of hard work. Yeah, he worked for the old Pullman cars, railroad cars.
Oh, yeah?
They made the Pullman cars, and he'd put electric, and then he would, on the side, was an electrician.
Wow.
And so he would, work there 8 or 10 hours, and then at night he would go and my mom, I remember, she used to get real mad at him when he'd come home, and sometimes I could hear him yelling because we lived in like a 600 square foot house, and I could hear her yelling at him because they were talking Lithuanian, so we wouldn't be able to understand what they're saying. But what he would do, he would go and repair something, and they'd give him some liquor instead of money, and he'd come home shit-faced. She said, "Where's the money?" And he didn't have any.
I used it.
Yeah.
Do you speak Lithuanian at all?
No, the thing about it, I wish I did, but back then, when you came from the old country, you wanted to be American. So we're gonna talk American, and there's I think my older sisters and brothers may learned a little bit, but the last 4 of us, I don't think everything was supposed to be. We're Americans. We talk. This is the way we talk, and in hindsight now, I wish I did learn a little bit because we did a surprise deal. For me, I took the kids and we went to Lithuania and went all through the country.
When was this?
Oh, I don't know how many years ago. Maybe
you were
10
retired?
years ago.
Okay, so you were retired at the time.
Yeah. And I went to, so bonuses, I think we even stayed in this Best Western motel.
What?
Yeah. So Botus, the older guy, the older one, he had a Best Western.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, we went all around and.
What'd you think?
Well, it was a very, driving from or going through on the train through Latvia and Estonia, I mean, it was like a time warp.
Really?
But Lithuania was quite progressive. I mean, Vilnius, the capital, is, you can tell you the difference from Santa Monica with the malls and everything. And
Really?
then they have they used to have a camp there, for like Auschwitz was right there. They had all them people lined up. It was a pretty neat thing.
They kept the camps there? Like he's still,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
think,
historical.
Yeah, it's a historical building. I tried to track down where my father came from, Palungi, and it was a small town, and we got there, and the way they do it back then is, where were you from? It would be like in Chicago. I could say I'm from Chicago because Holy Name Cathedral, the head of the Catholic Church there, is in Chicago. But I might live in Joliet.
I got
Or I might live in Springfield.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm saying, yeah, I'm from Chicago. So they said he was from Palenque. So when we get there, I mean, it's a small town, and we go to the church because that's where everybody is registered.
Right.
And we couldn't, they didn't speak English at all.
Wow.
So I don't know if that was the right place or not, but
And that's the thing. A lot of people lost their family history too, because, like you said, the churches were the ones keeping the logs in most countries before you came over, where you came in at Ellis Island or wherever you came in at.
yeah,
That's
they
incredible.
it's just. I remember on Sundays going to this Catholic. It was part of a cemetery, St. Casimir's, and they'd have like on Sundays like picnics. Talking Lithuanian. Man. Then they'd play this game as a kid. They'd have a big jar like jelly beans or something, and you could put your hand in there, and you could say odd or even, and then you could put that down, and then is it odd or even? If it was what you guessed, if it came out even, and I said even, I get to keep the candy. If it didn't, I'd have to pay a penny for each one. So then. And then they had an old folks home. I remember visiting my grandfather, but he was pretty old. And yeah, I kind of wish I would have learned some Lithuanian.
So were there sports? Were your parents interested in any sports? Nothing like that. Just hard working.
Nothing. They got their sports through, all the kids just watching. I don't think they ever missed a game I played in the state.
That's cool.
In Illinois, because I played high school, college, and pro there. And my brother Ron, he played with the Cardinals for a year, and he played in Canada, but he had a knee problem, so that was it. I just, I guess I was lucky. At a very early age, I knew what I wanted to do. We went to a high school. My buddy, like that buddy I was talking about, Rick, he said, we got to go to CVS, man. They got a good coach there, rather than the school in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
But because it was a vocational school, they could take from anywhere in the city. So we went there, and this Bernie O'Brien was the coach, and one of the finest gentlemen I ever had association with as a coach. Great guy.
Do you think you'd be here today, the man you are, if you didn't go to that high school?
I'd be the same.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, there were a lot of guys that went to that high school that ended up in the major leagues, baseball and that. So I'm sure a couple of them played football too. Sure. Yeah, Rick Kretling and
That's a hell of a amount of talent came out of there.
Yeah.
You know what is really cool about you? You stick to your roots.
Well,
Your father was an electrician.
yeah.
First thing that happens today when I come in, guys, I got electrocuted here by Dick Butkus. That man sticks to his roots.
I didn't have anything to do with it. Then again, Jesus, when you come where there's no insects, that's from Florida, probably, when I lived in Florida.
I could take out an alligator.
Well, we don't get to use it much here in California.
I asked Dick if he was playing pickleball at all, and he said,
I didn't know what the heck you were
What are you talking about? Pickleball. He goes, touch it. Get electrocuted.
It's a zapper.
So,
Jeez.
how much now does it mean for you? Because excellence is something that you've committed your life to, not only on the field, but off the field. With what you're doing with the Butkus Foundation and how you've teamed up and been helping out with some of the initiatives, some of the health initiatives here with the NFL alumni, how important is that to you?
Well, to begin with, it was through the Butkus Award that when we took that over, we thought, well, we're going to give this to high school and college, and we give it to a linebacker award that at the time, steroids was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And we ran across like parents giving their kids steroids because they see they see dollar signs or whatever. But our cardiologist, Dr. Santora, he did a study on bodybuilders, and every one of them that were known steroid guys, they had heart problems.
Their hearts are shot.
It's crazy. But it just shows the extent that people will go to try to reach something anyway. So anyway, we started with that, play clean, and then after that, we moved to Takes Heart. And Takes Heart is I guess it was 20 years ago this year that I had a 5-way bypass when I did a scan as a favor to somebody, and 2 days later I had a 5-way bypass. Now I had no signs, nothing. I might have been a little overweight, but not much.
How old were you at this time?
Let's see, 20. I would have been 59.
Wow.
So that scanning company, or that area at St. Joseph's Hospital, it's in Orange County, is now the Dick Butkus Wellness Center, and we give these EBCT scans. If you ask me what EBCT, it's along electrical, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like an X-ray. It takes a picture, it scans your heart, and it gives you a score for the calcium, which leads to blockages and all that. Yeah. And so we've been offering that to alumni every couple of years or something. Anybody, any alumni in Southern California, we can line them up and they have a scan. It takes 5 minutes.
Wow.
And we've done them for service people, military, police, fire. We've done over 50,000 scans.
Wow.
And I'm sure, I think it's like 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10 is you got to get something.
That's incredible.
Something done. So we're trying to move that along because of the obesity in this country. And like I think Bart Oates was saying, it's like 40% of the retired players are obese.
Absolutely.
It's driving up our heart business again.
It's crazy, and you look at pro athletes, guys. You're used to eating a certain way, right? You're on the road or where you're training. You're eating at the best places, and then your body is burning through these calories. So the second you retire, it's a totally different ball game. So that's the NFL alumni started the Huddle Up, Let's Talk Obesity campaign. Dick has been a major part of that with us because it goes with heart care.
Right. And, I didn't think I was overweight, but I've lost like 42 since August 26th.
Wow.
And I did it because I've got neuropathy. The best way I can explain that is I have no pain, but I cannot do a toe raise for the life of me. And I'm like walking on my heels all the time. So my balance sucks. I mean, so I figure, 40 less pounds should help me walk a little bit, and it does, and I feel much better. And it's not like I want to live forever, but I mean, I had my problems with that bypass. So
what's that like going through? So
I was too ignorant of it, how serious it was. I mean, really, I knew the day that I went there, the scan was going to be on a Monday. So I was doing something in Vegas, and this is in August. And so I'm thinking, geez, I got to get ready for this test, the scan. So I left Vegas on Friday and drove to Death Valley, and I checked into the Furnace Inn there. So I'm at dinner, and I asked the waitress, I says, how hot did it get today? And she says, well, it was about 126. I said, what time? And she said, about 3. And I said, all right. So I'm thinking, so I get up in the morning, I run to the golf course before it closes at 9, because you got to be off because of the heat. And I walk 18 holes. And I get done, and I'm running. I go to put my clubs in my car, and it's a black car, and I almost burned my hand on the opening up the trunk. So then I went to have lunch, and I'm thinking about this, 3 o'clock, 126 degrees. I was going to go hike up that big hill there right next to the hotel. Get in shape for the scan on Monday.
No kidding.
Well, I had lunch. I went back to the room. I'm sitting there laying there thinking. I went out, and I forget it. I packed up and left, drove back. Monday I do the test, and he says, we got to do something tomorrow, an angiogram or whatever. And so I came home, and then that next day I get ready, and so I'm packing. And my wife says, what are you doing? I'm just going for a test. And I said, no, I don't think I'm coming back. Meaning, I just had a feeling something was going on. Sure enough, I went back, and they did an angiogram. He just pulled it right out. He says, we had to do it right away. Wow. So the doctor, the surgeon, was actually from Chicago. And he was one of the first guys to do open heart there at St. Joseph's there in Orange County. And so the first time I met with him after the recovery, I said, come on, Doc, how bad was it, man? I felt good. I didn't think I had a problem. He says, Dick, I guess the best way to explain it to you is that you had one foot in the grave and one on a banana peel, because in 30 days it could have been over. So, so afterwards, I thought about it or whatever, and then it's like the same thing as playing. You're training, you're doing everything, and so then after a while, okay, I'm okay now, and this and that, you forget, and then you start. Here comes the weight, and I don't need the extra weight after I went through, because just because they did that doesn't mean I'm like, whoop-de-doo now. I can start running, running marathons or something like. So.
What's the recovery like on that?
I don't even remember.
Really?
It was just slow. I mean, I remember, there's a hill here, and to get the paper, I thought, well, I don't know how many days I was home, maybe a week or whatever, and so I thought, well, I'm going to go walk, get a little exercise. I'll walk and pick up the paper. I started to walk up, no more. I walked down easy. I got the paper. I turn around and start walking up, and man,
really,
it went into fibrillation, and then I had a quick call, and then I forget if I had to go in or if I just had to lay down. It was so,
And that's scary, because this is one of the toughest guys in the world, folks, but there's nothing you can do. It's inside you.
You don't realize how like weak and everything is after something like that, just nuts.
And you take that, and you think with all those scans, you talk about the foundation providing. Imagine how many lives.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't realize it, but when I was doing some autograph sessions in Vegas, I actually had some people come up and thank me, and I'm like, for what? He says, for that center of yours. And I said, really? And he says, yeah. He says, my father went there and he saved his life. Wow. Because of that scan or whatever. And I says, oh, really? So you really don't know.
That's got to be a cool feeling.
Yeah, it's something that you've gone through, and you might be able to pass on this somebody else that you can't believe the condition, and especially if you're over 40, and if you have heart disease in the family, you got to get it.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes 5 minutes, and could mean a lot in some personal life, and for people who don't do it, I would just say they're selfish in a way that they think they can beat it, or they're too good to get it done, or they're scared, or whatever the reason. But they also should look at their family that they're going to put in a damn bind if you're gone.
Absolutely.
So yes, it's something to be proud of, and we tried to push that out to people as much as we can, and at every opportunity. Like I said, it's before, I don't think it was covered by Medicare or anything like that, but now I think it is. So
now it is. This whole conversation about obesity is an important one for this country as a whole, not just some players.
Kidding.
It's
we don't want to go in the story I told you before.
Yeah. But you see it everywhere. You see it everywhere, and every family probably, knows somebody who's dealing with it. But health has always been something that you were kind of on the cutting edge with. From like hyperbaric chambers. How long have you been using chambers?
Well, as of yesterday, 525 times, since I've gotten it.
Oh, so you're keeping track.
Yeah, I keep track of the time, and interesting story. Dr. Amen, you're talking about? Well, one of his doctors, my wife was seeing this one doctor in this building, and he suggested that I go downstairs and talk to the psychiatrist. And I'm like, I don't know why would you say something like that to me? Is there something I said or the way I act? Anyway, and he said, I'll get you an appointment. I said, yeah, okay, I'll go see him. So I went downstairs today and I saw the guy, and they were working with CTE a lot. And he says, I'd like to take a scan of your brain. And I'm like, yeah, well, how much is that? And he said, oh, it's whatever. We'll talk about that later. I said, all right, whatever. So we arranged to get this scan. So we go in there and I sit there, and so I had an IV from upstairs just before in my right hand, and so this guy, he puts like a laptop in front of me, and he says, what hand are you? I says, right-handed. So then right away he starts to pick around to put an IV in there, and I'm, I guess they squirt the dye in, and I'm thinking to myself, I wanted to know my dominant hand, and then he said this laptop, he says there'll be a letter that pops out, and I want you to push the space every time, every letter except an X. I'm thinking, no wonder he thought I'd get my dominant hand. I got to use my left hand.
Right.
So he couldn't get it, so he went on to the left side. So I'm thinking, I got him now. So the letters started coming, God damn it, and he jumps, and I'm really holding it. So then he gets done, and he says, all right, you got about 20 more minutes to go on this. And I'm really honing in on it. And so he comes in after 20 minutes, and he says, you think you're ADD? And I says, you know something? I think I am, because what I know about ADD. I said, because in school, I never thought nothing about playing football. Since I was a little kid in grammar school. And he says, well, you're not. You're not ADD. So, whatever. He says, so, okay. So that was just a test to do. Okay. So before I did the scan, they sent me a web neural test that you do online. And it's like, how do you feel today, 5, 4, all this stuff. So I did that. So I go do the scan. Allman comes, starts reading it. He says, you think you ever had any concussions? And I said, no. I said, maybe once I got knocked out, I remember. But I don't think I got that many concussions. So he says, he puts on the scan. And he said, now a good scan would be like a starry night. See all the stars and everything else. So he puts mine up there, and he says, do you see yours? I said, yeah. And he says, yours looks like a cloudy night, because we don't see much white.
Wow.
Especially in the temporal areas. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? He said, well, you did have some concussions. But we can help you.
The hardest hitter in league history, ladies and gentlemen.
And I said, what do I got to do? And he said, well, maybe 40 sessions in a hyperbaric chamber, some supplements, and these word games. I said, really? So we walked back, and I looked at the thing, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, 40 treatments, that's every day for, 8 weeks? And I got to drive an hour, back an hour. I said, do you like this brand? And he said, yeah, it's Oxy. Oh, yeah, okay. So I looked it up on my phone. I went right downtown L.A. and I bought one and brought it home. That must have been around in April. So I started using it. And I didn't know at the time, but I was doing sessions where I'd go in there for an hour and a half, out, maybe later in the day, another hour, whatever. Okay, so 3 or 4 months go by, and they call me, and he says, hey, maybe we ought to take another scan, see how you're doing. And I was on this Luminosity. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's an app, and it has all these different brain games, and you put in your age, and you play against people all around the world.
Of your age?
At your age.
That's awesome.
And you see where you fit in that with all these 79-year-old people that are doing
here come
this.
The competitive juices, ladies.
Right. So then they've got a graph with little pictures, and I'm almost to the top one.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
In certain things. So like in math, they got there's all different games, like memory games and for speed, they'll flash something and then you got to hit it if it repeats itself, all these different things. So I did that the first time before the scan. Okay, so we did the scan. Okay, 3-4 months later, they were so nice. I didn't want to, hey, it's time, So they call me and he says, hey, it's about time. Maybe you should, let's do another scan. Let's do another web neural test first. We'll send it, okay?
And you've been doing the hyperbaric chamber every day.
I've been doing it.
Gotcha.
And I've been doing the games every day
Gotcha.
and supplements. So I do the game, I do the web neural deal, and he emails me back, what the heck have you been doing? Your score drastically went up.
Wow.
So then I go in there and I do the scan again, and all of a sudden he said, look at the difference here. This is the cloudy night, your first one scan, and here's your second scan, and it's all stars, all big white blobs. And he said, this one area, you got this big blob. He says, I can almost predict that you will not get Alzheimer's, because right there, that area of the brain is where Alzheimer's shows up.
Interesting.
And so I can only attribute it to the chamber.
That's incredible.
And some people, there's all different kind of deals about, people sleep in them, this Michael Jackson, all these people. But I met a doctor. I was talking to a doctor and who's been working with hyperbaric chambers for 20-some years. And they call it stacking. I said setting before, but it's called stacking. And that's what I was doing, unbeknownst to me, that it's like charging your phone, right? Your phone, all of a sudden, it's 50%, all of a sudden, okay, now it's 100% charge. It doesn't charge it anymore, leaving it on.
Right.
So he said, sleeping in it is not going to do you any more good than the hour and a half or 90 minutes. That I start having my wife do it. She's got a bad back problem, bad hip, and it's hard for her to get in there. They got them now where kind that you just walk in and you zip it and you sit there.
Yeah.
And what it feels like, and mine is like a tube, and you lay in there, and it's almost like you're going up in a plane. Your ear,
Little ear pop. Yeah.
little ear, and it's like 4 pounds per square inch or something. It's not bad at all. I fall asleep in it half the time, but it's kind of neat. They're very expensive, but I hear in Israel they've been using that for over 40 years for fixing everything because it improves your circulation, and I think that's what happened with the frontal area and that X-ray. It started opening up the blood vessels or whatever. I'm not
Pumping that oxygen through.
I guess, because there's definite difference, and I can only attribute it to that. I don't, it seems like I'm at a plateau now with all those web neural games.
Yeah.
Luminosity. I try to. Sometimes
See the expression?
Well, one of them is like for memory is different things drop down. They come down.
Right.
Like one might be a seashell, and then a little boat, and then a little chick, and then like seaweed, and then you got to press. And when you press things twice, you got to move on to the next beach, and then it comes down, and then things start looking a lot closer alike. And then the third one, where you get the most points, that thing could be like, it could be like this, four fingers this way, and they're all different, you know.
Put you to work.
So I got to recharge, I got replay it, restart. Wasn't quite up there. I only get a couple. So
He's only going for the wins out here, folks.
Yeah.
But it's cool. We partnered recently with Elevate Health, and we got Hyperbaric Chambers into the NFL Alumni Academy. So all the athletes are recovering with them, and they call it the oxygen miracle, you know, and it's been incredible. And now we're making them available to the alumni guys that are more, you know, at good rates.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So we're
because
excited about that.
That's what I was looking at too when he said how much it was, you know, each session. You know, it's $150, $200.
Yeah.
It depends where you're at.
Yeah. No, it's
Best
the right
investment.
It is a great investment. Now, to all of our loungers here, let's say they're taking their first trip to Chicago, that toddling town.
Yeah, right.
Where does Dick Butkus tell the people you have to enjoy a meal at this place?
Oh, well, in Little Italy, there's a number of them. Tuscany's and Rosebud.
Oh, Rosebud's a great restaurant.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4, but you know what? I haven't been there in a long time. Actually, my rookie year, I lived downtown, and I never, you know, I was from the South Side. What did I know?
Right.
I knew nothing, so where to go or whatever.
It's a new country over here. I moved to.
Yeah, it's a little different than the South Side, let me tell you. So, but that's what I tell them now. But I would also, sad to say that, you know, just be careful.
Yeah.
Because it's really having problems there. I've got some buddies that live there, and they're saying it's getting the violence and crime is getting bad. So I don't know what the answer is, but you know, with this pandemic, I think Vegas is the furthest I've been in over 2 years because of this arthritis I got. I'm on Embrol, which lowers your immune system. So my doctor told me, you know, I got that booster months and months ago.
Yeah.
Because I told him, you know, I got to travel. And he says, no, you're not. I don't want you traveling anywhere. Because before, I used to travel to Chicago or wherever, and I'd come home, fly home, and the next day or two, I'd be sick. I'd catch the cold, really easy.
Yeah.
And that was because of my immune system. I couldn't figure the damn thing out. But now it's been he told me what it's all about, and so I really don't go anywhere.
You got to play it safe, got to play it smart.
Yeah.
When you watch some of these guys now, and you see how athletic the linebacker position has become, and you see, even in the secondary, when you see guys just ball hawking and throwing jabs at the football, does that make you so proud? Do you feel like, you know, this was something you were doing already?
Well, yeah. I often wondered why nobody done it a lot earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a running back and linebacker in high school, and you know, when and it really taught me how and why to tackle high is because as a fullback, someone bear hugs me and they're taking me down. I got nothing to break my fall unless I forget about the ball and I use my arm, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, I've got to do that. So that's what I started doing. And then I thought, well, okay, high school it worked a little bit, but it won't work in college because all these guys are a lot better. Work there too. Same thing with them is that, you know, looking where they're going to go. And I don't know how many players do that today, but I don't care who you are. I mean, Johnny Unitas, as great as he was, you know, we had a tip from Don Shinnick, who was the linebacker with the Colts at the time he was there. And John just had a habit of when he'd drop back, wherever he looked once, twice, he'd always go back
to the first read.
First one. And sure enough, it held up. And I'm sure everybody, you know, has a trait that if you know through watching film you can get that. Mm-hmm. It's just something that's automatic, and you can't disguise it. I mean, even the TV camera when they look in the backfield, you see the back, you know, looking where he's going to go. I mean, are you going over there? Is that why you're looking over there?
Right.
I mean, come on. I don't know. It's just the idea. The biggest deal is, or one of the tops is turnovers, and whatever way you can do it, interceptions or fumbles. I tell you that. I also thought when you're running, a guy breaks a long pass play and he's running, or a ball carrier is running, you know, and by the time you catch up to him, what's the big deal about tackling them? Why not grab them and punch the ball out like the other night?
Yep.
They showed it a couple times.
So clean, too.
Right, yeah. Boom. Because I'm telling you, when you're running and you know, all of a sudden someone's on me, you lose track of the ball a lot of times. You know, you kind of, you're avoiding the hit, or you're going to accept the.
You really have to, in a way. You got to think
right.
of something else.
And that's when you're vulnerable.
Were you into boxing growing up, or did you study
a little
boxing?
bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, a little bit.
You think that had any sway on your game, or not really?
No. I mostly was a grabber.
Yeah.
You know, you're carrying a ball there. I like to just, you know, rip you get your fingers like this.
You're ready to electrocute.
I'll tell you what,
Jesus.
Jim Brown, you know, Jim Brown, he don't block or anything. Oh, yeah? Well, we're playing him. I was with the college All-Stars. We were playing the Cleveland Browns in the old Chicago All-Star game. And I blitzed one time, and he got my arm, and he clamped down on it, and it was like he was he clamped down on it, and it's bending this way, and I'm going down. I said, "You son of a-" I like that. You know, man.
It's a good move.
Yeah, it was. So that damn guy, and they're talking about, oh, you don't block or anything. I said, damn, you know,
I got
broke
proof
my
of
arm.
it right here.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, any little thing like that. Now it's mostly throwing a shoulder. It's either, you know, hit or miss, and I don't understand it. I don't know. They don't practice anything like we used to. I mean, you can't tell me you can't learn, or you can learn how to tackle without tackling all week.
Can't do it. You just can't do it.
You know, but they're driving this game to, you know, to eliminate injuries, and you know what? They're coming up with more injuries of a different sort because, you know, they're
body's not ready.
You know, they're getting more lower leg, lower body injuries now. It seems like. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if I would like to find out from the league or whatever, their contracts, if I scrape my nail and I'm laying down on the field with my face buried into the turf, and the trainers come out and everybody comes out and they're trying to lift you. Are you all right? Are you all right? And I'm like, is the camera on me? Okay. Oh, I get up and I run off the field. Right. What the hell is that all about?
Stop the clock.
Stop the clock.
Stop the clock. There should be a way to see if these things are legitimate. Because doesn't that happen at least once a game where you're wondering?
Why? First of all, why would I want to show you in the world watching this game that I got injured?
Right.
Don't you?
Right.
My brother told me a story about a guy that played with the Cardinals, defensive tackle, tough. I mean, he like his leg was like shattered, broke, whatever, and he ran off the field just to get off the field.
Yeah.
I mean, to eliminate maybe a timeout or I just don't see it. And it's such a joke because so that's why maybe legally, if you get dinged a little bit, go down, stop the game and whatever. I really like to know, are they told to do that or what? Because if they're doing it on their own and then they get up, how don't they think at all that's like embarrassing? Look at this little guy threw a block and I hurt my ankle and oh Jesus, I'm crying and I'm rolling back and forth. I'm not talking about legit. I'm talking about this other stuff where you jump up and you run off the field.
Right.
Then they're explain.
Right.
What is that all about? Could you tell me?
Like you said earlier, it's a me league. Maybe it comes down to that.
I would, I guess.
Maybe that's.
But why would you want to be?
The only thing
why
can
don't
think
you?
is
Why,
get a timeout.
why won't you be a macho guy about it? Hey, I'm gonna show you that.
You're showing the kink in your armor.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
Right.
It makes sense. Why do it?
But you can't point your finger either on somebody else that you're
right.
taunting.
It's a big time flag. So who was Dick Butkus' hero growing up?
Oh, Nitsky. Yeah, I like Nitsky.
A refined gentleman.
Why? Because I met him when I was still in high school at the University of Illinois. My brother went to Illinois for a while, and he knew Ray. It was at that time, and that's when he introduced me to Ray. So I kind of watched him. I remember watching on the old TV set with my father, Buddy Young, running, and then I started watching Ray, and then the year they beat the Eagles, and then he was on What's My Line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you two become two refined gentlemen. That had to be surreal to be filming pieces with Nitsky.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, and tell you the truth, I liked Green Bay when he was there. Everybody thinks I was a Bear fan, but I really wasn't.
Chicago Cardinal guy, right?
South Side guy, yeah.
That's why. And ladies, the Cardinals are the oldest existing team still playing in the NFL. Chicago Cardinals.
Yeah.
That's a fact gets most people.
Yeah.
But who'd they play, if they were the oldest? You ever see the New York Yankees football team?
Come on. No.
Yeah. The Brooklyn Dodgers, the New York Yankees.
Well, the Dodgers, but not...
the Yankees turned into the Houston Texans, and then they turned into the Kansas City Chiefs. Hunt bought the New York Yankees.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they had some cool uniforms.
Jesus.
So to wrap it here, we just opened, I was telling you earlier, the NFL Alumni Academy, where we're signing players that were either cut or undrafted, and they're trying to get back into the league. Mm-hmm. What's one piece of advice you give a guy trying to get back into the league?
Maybe analyze why I didn't make it the first time. Was I not fundamentally sound? Was I too heavy? Was I too slow? And then I'd work on that from there. Nothing like determination and desire. The other night with the Washington quarterback, he found himself sitting on a couch, and the next thing you know, he's playing in the NFL. So it's not impossible. It's amazing that more guys aren't uncovered or come from a route that way. I mean, I would tell the Bears management, I said, look, your offensive line, I said this, that, they ought to be arrested for attempted murder because they're going to get Fields killed. Mm-hmm. Why don't you go to Canada? They pass block. Get some no-namer up there. And you can't tell me that there's not guys somewhere.
You got to figure, right? You got to figure
you got to have
talent out there.
Exactly. And the thing they're doing, like you said, guy's going to get another chance, and maybe he corrects the the mistake he made, if it was a bad one, and he corrects it, and next thing you know, he's playing.
Yeah.
Like, how come, where was he?
Yeah, it'd be beautiful to see a successful feeder system or minor league type deal for football that really works. You were a part of the first version of the XFL with the Chicago Enforcers. That was Vince McMahon's vision. We've seen a few. The XFL's coming back, actually. I think next year they're going to bring it back again. Oh. The Rock bought it.
Well, there a lot of guys ended up playing from there, got their second life and everything else, and it's amazing how, I don't know if it's the money or whatever, because what you're talking about as a career is 3 to 4 years. That's the average. Back when I was playing, the average guy wasn't even able to collect a pension because he couldn't get there. And now, if you make it, you could be, and with the salaries, if you have a brain cell, you've made it for the rest of your life almost, if you watch yourself.
Yeah.
So I can see why a lot of guys are coming and trying out and doing all that, and more power to them, because make hay while the sun shines, buddy.
Absolutely.
It was like me when I finally, my knee, it was over. I got to figure out what I love to do second best. That's pretty tough to do. One break I had, I knew what I wanted to do from 9 years old on. I wanted to play football. So I didn't know about salaries or anything at that time, of course, but I had a desire to play the game, and at each level went on, I learned more and more and more. But then when it was over, now what do I do? So, and I thought I was going to be, in the coaching and everything else, and that didn't work out.
You had fun with the entertainment industry.
Well,
how was that going into the entertainment, being in movies and stuff like that?
Well, you had a lot of things to overcome. Everybody thought you the dumb jock, and they're just using you for your name and whatever. So 36 years later, here we are. So
the kid holds up.
Yeah, I held up. Fool them all.
Oh, man, Dick, thank you so much for coming and gracing the lounge.
The lounge, okay.
He's got to be saying, this is my counter, Boots. What are you talking about?
Yeah, my electric pro.
Guys, this has been another episode of the NFL Alumni Lounge. We're going to clear out before the electric bill gets delivered. It's been a beautiful thing. And I'll tell you guys what. If you got a problem with flies in the house, get yourself the Executioner. This thing works. I'm not kidding.
Show them how you...
We'll see you next time right here in the NFL Alumni Lounge, powered by Elevate Health. Cheers.